Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets is directed by Chris Columbus and stars Daniel Radcliffe, Emma Watson, Rupert Grint, amongst others, and is the story of Harry heading towards his second year at Hogwarts. However, a house elf by the name of Dobby warns him to not go to Hogwarts this year because of an unknown danger that might be there. However, once they get there, they find out that there might be a bigger danger than what Dobby may have hinted at. And that leads to a pretty exciting movie which actually I enjoyed more than the first one. Keep in mind, the first one is a movie that was really good. It was a movie that is liked by a lot of people. Yes, there are things about it which are not that good, but in the end, The Philosopher's Stone is still a movie that a lot of people look at and they really like that movie. And for some people, Chamber of Secrets was a little not so good, and it definitely had a few problems with it. And while I agree with that, Chamber of Secrets is definitely a movie that I had a lot of fun with, and I actually have liked it a lot more than Philosopher's Stone as time has gone by. Chamber of Secrets is a movie that has more action. It's a longer movie. Yes, there are times where the pacing of it does have an issue, which we'll talk about in a bit, but it is more exciting. There is definitely a more engaging story with it. There are things which Harry is doing in this movie that are more risky, that have a certain danger factor to them. And the Philosopher's Stone, that was there, but it wasn't as prominent as it is in this movie. Children are getting paralyzed because of something that they're seeing in reflections and what they're seeing in real life. There are writings on the wall in blood saying the Chamber of Secrets has been opened. There's a new dark arts professor named Gilderoy Lockhart, played by Kenneth Branagh, who's over the top and may not exactly be a very good teacher and may not know much. There is a story about the heir of Slytherin actually being Harry Potter, and he actually even knows how to speak Parseltongue, which is snake language. The stakes are raised in this movie. However, there are times where you look at people and when you talk to them about this film, they have some responses to say about this movie. For example, that this movie is not that good. And I can see why some people would say that. The major problem with The Chamber of Secrets for me is that it's a film that for some reason feels a lot like the first movie. There are definitely things about it which feel like they've carried forwarded from the first one right back into the second one, and that sometimes feels a little jumbled up because you kind of have a problem sometimes trying to differentiate one movie from the other in certain scenes. For example, there'll be a certain shot that'll happen and then certain music cue will play and you're like, oh, okay, that's just like the first movie. And there'll be a certain character who'll say something that's just like the first movie, or there'll be a certain Quidditch match happening and something is about to happen just like that first movie. There are definitely things which are in parallel to this movie that are to the last movie, but in the end, Chamber of Secrets definitely has a lot more things in it which make it different. There are things which it does which are different from what Philosopher's Stone did, which make it its own unique movie, despite getting comparisons to it and people regarding this as the weakest Harry Potter movie. It's really not the weakest Harry Potter movie in my opinion. It is a movie that I genuinely enjoyed, and there are things that I like about it. Let's talk about Daniel Radcliffe's performance. He is definitely better in this movie, as are the other kids. Emma Watson is really good in this movie. Rupert Grint is really good in this movie. Tom Felton is really good in this movie. The character actors, Bonnie Wright as Ginny Weasley also does a great job, and it's great to see these kids evolve and you're going to see them age as the movies progress, and they do brilliantly as their roles continue to get stronger and more mature as the movies go on. Another character who is introduced in this movie is Lucius Malfoy. And this guy's sick. He is a sick character. But the way he does it, you really... Yes, he is a sick, repulsive character. And that is exactly the kind of feeling you should get from looking at him on screen. And that's exactly the feeling you get. And that way, he is probably accomplishing exactly what he's supposed to. And he is definitely a character that leaves a lasting impression on you as the movie gets over. The visual effects in this movie are also rather better. There are definitely moments in this which are brilliantly done. The scene with the basilisk at the end of this movie is a great scene. The special effects in that, there are some things which they do with it which are great. There are a few scenes which involve magic, such as a duel between Malfoy and Harry, which is taking place in the presence of Lockhart, also really well done. There's a Quidditch scene, which is a slightly different scene compared to the first movie, and that's also really well done in terms of visual effects. Scenes like that, they are really, really well done. They are definitely an improvement over the CGI of the first film, which was also really good, and it's actually better, which is an improvement, so to say, over the first movie. The music, again, by John Williams is fantastic. There is still those musical motifs, along with newer motifs added in, works extremely well again. And of course, the screenplay, which is adapted, of course, from the novel, is really good. There are things in it, such as what are the spiders? There are certain elements like that of mystery regarding the Chamber of Secrets and who could be connected to it, and a kid named Tom Marvolo Riddle, who, as we find out, is Lord Voldemort by the end of this film. But in the end, when you are watching this and you look at the writing and you look at the thought that has gone into making the story, it's really interesting. There is definitely a story here which they've told in a very compact and precise manner, and they do a good job of it. My issues with the film are mainly to do with some of the pacing and to do with some of the facts that it does feel slightly similar at times. We've already addressed that, but sometimes this movie is feeling a little slow. It does go through some wear and tear in a couple of points, and it feels that because it is definitely a longer movie than the first one. But in the end, while that was felt, there are scenes that make up for that. So whenever the pace slows down, it fastens back up later on to make up for the fact that there was that lag which was there for that little while, and that kind of helps out in the film. But I will say this, in my opinion, I like the Chamber of Secrets a lot more than the first one, and I highly recommend watching it in case you haven't seen it yet, because I actually know people who've not seen Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets before. I'm gonna give Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets a 9 out of 10. Generous? No. Really? I've loved this movie since the first time I saw it. That's the rating I'm gonna give it. Guys, have you seen Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets? What did you think about it? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. Let me know. Guys, thank you so much for watching. If you like this, please subscribe so I can see you guys later and we can talk more about movies and stuff. Also, Prisoner of Azkaban review very soon.